2017 was a year in gaming like no other. The video game industry was thrust into the limelight a lot this year for different reasons, from multiple console releases to the ethics of game companies coming under fire. I'm Matt Lacas from VGS, and here are the biggest game stories of 2017. E3 for everyone. On February 13th, E3 opened up a slot of 15,000 tickets to consumers for the very first time in the convention's history. Tickets were priced at $150 for the early bird special or $250 at regular cost. As E3 had traditionally been an industry-only event, the tickets sold out fast. There had been a trend in the last couple years of slow openings at E3. The electronics convention got a real boost from the public finally being allowed on show floors, panel discussions, and many other events going on. It may have been crowded, but consumers had a blast getting to be a part of one of the biggest events in gaming of 2017. The Nintendo Switch release. Nintendo started out this year by dropping the bomb that it would release its newest console, the Nintendo Switch, later in this year at a price point of $299. On March 3rd, the Switch was released to great acclaim, but not without its bugs here and there. Early reports of the console had people experiencing malfunctions with the Switch's controller, and Nintendo would eventually step in and fix the issue. Since its launch, Nintendo has sold over 10 million units, and it's predicted to outsell the Wii U early next year, which only sold 13.5 million units worldwide. With games like Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Mario Odyssey, it's safe to say that the Nintendo Switch is here to stay and will continue to push out great gaming experiences. Mass Effect on standby. Mass Effect Andromeda was released in March of this year and was faced with heavy criticism for not living up to the excellent trilogy that preceded it, as well as some gaudy technical issues and terrible facial animations. After the lukewarm response from the community, BioWare Montreal, the developer studio largely responsible for this iteration, was put on ice. EA transferred a lot of the BioWare Montreal employees onto other projects like Star Wars Battlefront 2, and basically turned the studio into a support system for their other titles. We don't know when the next time we'll get to visit the vast universe of Mass Effect, but let's hope our waiting is rewarded with something better than this. eSports ramp it up. This year was a huge year for eSports internationally and finally making a real push here in North America. CSGO, Overwatch, Rocket League, Call of Duty, Dota 2, League of Legends, NBA 2K, Hearthstone, Smash Bros, and even games like Splatoon all have dedicated gaming communities and leagues with diehard fans willing to tune in to watch their favorite teams square off in high-stakes competitions. The largest esports competition to date, the International 2017, was held in Seattle, Washington, where Valve hosted the Dota 2 Championships, which combined a prize pool of $24 million USD. The European underdogs, Team Liquid, upset China's Team Newbie and walked away with a little over $10 million for their trouble. With over 5 million people tuning into the tournament on Valve's dedicated servers and Twitch, it's cemented that esports are on the rise and people want more. PUBG for the win. A game that is still in early access, dethroning Dota 2 for the most concurrent players on Steam? Seems impossible, right? In early September, PUBG did just that. Boasting a whopping 1,348,374 players at its peak on September 16th, it dethroned the MOBA giant by about 50,000 players. PUBG went on to be nominated for the Game of the Year without even having a full release yet. Its fanbase continues to grow, with the PC 1.0 Battlegrounds to launch in December. This game isn't without its flaws, but with reviewers calling it perfectly imperfect, the Hunger Games formula seems to stick with people and have them constantly coming back for more. The more you play, the more you appreciate the attention to detail that went into a game based on randomized battle scenarios. With a full release on the Xbox One next year, PUBG isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Naughty Dog and Twitch in hot water. This year, we saw our fair share of people coming forward and finally feeling empowered enough to share their stories about being sexually harassed in the workplace. What started as the hashtag #MeToo movement sent waves across the world, and some of the worst behavior of those in power came to light. Two companies that didn't quite get the memo and had to deal with these situations were Naughty Dog and Twitch Gaming. A Naughty Dog employee, an environment artist, came forward to Sony PR about being sexually harassed by a lead at the developing company and was promptly fired the next day because the company was moving in a different direction. Naughty went one step further and denounced the individual publicly, releasing his name in the process for making unfounded sexual harassment allegations in an open letter online. This led to the former employee to be bombarded and harassed online by Naughty Dog supporters and the like. Not cool, Naughty Dog. Not cool. Twitch has had some pretty loose and never clearly defined policies when it comes to banning streamers from their service. With the introduction of Twitch IRL, a dedicated channel that doesn't have anything to do with gaming at its core was introduced, Twitch streamers and audiences alike were split on the validity of it on its platform. Those who felt that Twitch was a place for gamers and gamers only started to feel like their home was being threatened by outsiders. Women, mostly, started getting trolled and harassed online by other streamers and viewers, calling them titty streamers, cam whores, and a lot of worse things. This all came to a boiling point when streaming partner Trainwreck went on a rant about taking back Twitch from the sluts who had corrupted it. Only getting a 5-day ban from Twitch for his tirade, people questioned where Twitch stood on this kind of harassment on its platform. And since Twitch reserved the right to not comment on individual cases, the question still stands. Star Wars: Battle of the Loot Boxes. When early beta players were finally allowed to get their hands dirty in October with Star Wars Battlefront 2, they had no idea what awaited them. What they found was that the progression system in-game was attached to microtransactions and loot box mechanics. A very much pay-to-win system was in place. This, or you had to spend an insane amount of time in-game to be able to perform well on the battlefield. Gamers felt like they were being treated like cash cows and had had enough. A huge community backlash caused players to cancel their pre-orders and push so much bad PR on the company that EA had no choice but to respond. The day before the international release of the game, EA announced that they would be removing microtransactions from the game for a period of time, continue to work on the system, and that they were listening to their players. The day of the game's release, EA's stock dipped and copies haven't been flying off the shelves like they'd hoped. Big Daddy Disney even stepped in and gave the company a stern talking to about how they treat their property. Xbox One X, the most powerful console in gaming. Microsoft revealed at E3 their newest piece of hardware, the Xbox One X, a gaming console meant to push the limits of what a console can do and perform with gorgeous 4K visuals. The console released on November 7th at $499 USD, boasting 6 teraflops of power, making it 4 times more powerful than the original Xbox One. This gaming console is not messing around. Early sales numbers are showing that the console is having a good first outing and surprising naysayers along the way. GTA 5 going strong. GTA 5 was released over 4 years ago, and thanks to a growing online community, is still going strong. Yes, it has some glitchy moments and growing issues with cheaters, but Take-Two Interactive recently published its second quarter results and announced that they've sold 85 million copies of the game, which in terms of units sold and revenue, makes it the US's best-selling video game of all time. GTA 5 is rolling in what the company calls recurrent consumer spending, aka microtransactions, which saw an increase of 84% from last year. With constant updates, patches, and new DLC on the horizon, the gravy train doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon. Game of the Year. This year, the Game Awards were not to be missed. With world premiere trailers for Valley of the Gods, Soul Calibur 6, Death Stranding, and many more, it's no wonder that viewership was up 200% from last year. The Game Awards were filled with hype, spectacular musical performances, upsets, and a couple of cringe-worthy moments. The race for Game of the Year came down to 2 of Nintendo's flagship franchises, Zelda Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. Although Nintendo was essentially splitting their consumer base in half with the 2 nominees, Zelda Breath of the Wild still came out on top as Game of the Year. With 2017 wrapping up, what are you looking forward to in the new year? This was Matt Lacas, and remember, games are art. Bleed for your art. Keep listening to VGS.